in a sense. I thought I'd do mostly questions and just kind of pull things together after a week of many directions. It's funny, Matt says 3, 2, 1. It has this like, like a television show or something. But okay, so maybe what we'll do is we'll just start with this little video, and then I'll answer some questions. And then if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to do that too. Anything, we can do anything today. Today is the anything day. I have a writing I can do, but we can do that. But I like this. I thought this was very good.
When you tell someone, be careful, you think you're protecting them, but in reality, you are planting fear in their subconscious and weakening their ability to navigate life with confidence. For instance, if a child hears be careful constantly, they begin to see the world as dangerous rather than expansive. If you tell someone starting a new business, be careful, it's risky, you project doubt onto their journey and subtly diminish their certainty. Even in relationships, saying be careful with your heart can make someone guarded, blocking them from true connection. Caution is not the same as fear. Fear dims intuition, disrupts flow, and weakens the protective energy around the person. The more you tell someone to be careful, the more they operate from hesitation instead of trust. Instead of saying be careful, shift your words to move with wisdom or trust yourself. If someone is traveling, say, I trust in your protection and your safe journey. If they're making a big decision, say, I trust in your clarity and your discernment. Now, instead of injecting fear, you're reinforcing their own ability to connect to inner strength. Here's a visualization you can use and a mantra for you. Visualize them.
Yeah, I don't know if you have to do a visualization. You're a smart crowd. You can probably visualize it for yourself. But I thought this was genius. And he's actually quite good. If anybody wants his name, you can ask Sophia, we'll get you that. But he's a Kabbalist. And he has another piece that I mentioned earlier about the feminine and how the feminine is complete as she is. And he's really smart. And this is I look for subtle nuances in terms of how language impacts our minds and how really what I'm interested in is the much more nuanced forms of, we'll say, oppression in the finite game of the everyday samsaric world. So, we've been talking a lot about, okay, there's this entire world or realm, and that realm is rooted in fear because it's rooted in powerlessness, and the powerlessness is a result of a lack of Eros. And so everyone is kind of just shifting furniture on the Titanic, and really what they're doing is interacting in such a way as to trade finite senses of power. You have these illusions of power that you're trading, and whoever has more at any time, when really it's just so funny because if you just stepped outside of that, stepped over the line here, there's just infinite power. You just have to go through this membrane. That membrane is your ego. And that's the valence of good and bad that you have to step through. And there's a whole series of built-in immune responses as to why you wouldn't. You'd be a crazy person. You'd be exiled. You'd be, I love, there was a great canceled talk with RFK. No, yeah, I think, was it RFK? I don't know, but I do know that Eric Weinstein was on it and Nicole Daedone. And they were talking about, what they do, at this time of cancellation is you get the scarlet K for kook, right? So you get called a kook, you get called dangerous. There's a whole series of things that you get called over here. What they don't tell you is that when you get over here, you won't care. Because you'll see that there's a bunch of fear-based lobbings at people. And here's the thing that's really interesting that I do believe is part of how I stay sane, is that I do believe that in a sense, these things that we pass on first of all, were passed on to us, and they were passed on with care. They were passed on as care. So we know them, we code them as care. So, so for example, as he was saying, when you say be careful to somebody, you are instilling fear. You're injecting fear in that moment. Isn't that so crazy? But that's what you know as love in a fear-based finite world. And so all of these things that we do, and this is one of my biggest arguments about what feminism is today, and what various movements that passed as feminism were, is they're based in this disabling fear. The notion is rooted, first of all, in social disadvantage, but beyond that, what it's rooted in is that you are in danger. And there is the perpetual reinforcement of danger being in your world. Well, guess what happens? If you wanted to rule a people, you would convince them that they were always in danger because their parasympathetic nervous system could never activate, their genius could never activate, what they would rely on in order to have an unmediated sense of power could never activate, because that can only activate when you feel safe. So what you'll find is either there is the overt or covert sense of being in danger. One would be the near enemy, and one would be the far enemy, and one would be the near enemy. The far enemy would be the you are in danger. All of the messages that we get that you are in danger, right? You're in danger because of Russia. You're in danger because of people are carjackers. You're in danger, the infinite reasons. For women, you're just always in danger. You're in danger anytime you walk through a parking lot. You're in danger if you wear the wrong skirt. You're just in danger, danger, danger. And then not only are you in danger there, you're in danger at home. Because I just saw one where this woman was saying, we try to tell women that they're in danger because of stranger danger, but we don't talk about this fact that 70% of women are killed at home. And you're like, I thought I had escaped the danger, but no, it's everywhere. So you're in hyper red all the time, and not even knowing it becomes the water that you swim in, right? So that's the far enemy, the obvious enemy. But the near enemy is, oh, honey, be careful. Oh, watch out for that. Oh, no. All of those subtle things that we do. And I would say there is an even nearer enemy. And that would be the subtle teachings of things that you should notice when there's systematic patriarchy. All of those things, those are just the subtle instillings of fear in you, the subtle instillings that something is fundamentally wrong. So that when that basic feeling of human discomfort arises, right? It's just the burden of existence. When the burden of existence that is each of ours arises, and that is what arises as fundamentally the creative impulse, right? So when that arises, then you have these ready-made places for the mind to gravitate to, and lo and behold, it's never just out there free flying around like the dakinis. No, it is immediately secured into a pre-existing idea that this arousal is not to create. Arousal is not to fly like the dakinis. This arousal is not to make out. This arousal is not to explore other dimensions. No, 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 no. You would do that, except for there's all of these threats. And the threats are ubiquitous. They will, really in your grandchildren's lifetime, although you have to fear that this world will be destroyed by the time that your grandchildren arrive, right? Because we're in a what? A climate crisis. Now, see that doesn't that sound caring though? It sounds like I really care about the climate. If I say we are in a climate crisis, and I want you to watch what kind of straws you use. this is a serious time. It sounds like I'm caring. That's it, right? I mean, by the way, the people who say this are also the people who say, be better, read that again. But we're in a climate crisis, or, these people have white privilege, or these men are, what do you guys do again? Gaslighting us. So you always have to be aware, because you're probably almost always being gaslit. You don't know. Oh my gosh, I just thought he said I should go down the street and then make a left, but he was probably tricking me. And so you're just in that perpetual state, right? And then we wonder why people are in that perpetual state. You look at, oh my gosh, the self-diagnoses on Instagram, right? And it just so happens that keeps the marketplace open, right? Because then you have SSRIs, you have all of the self-help books. It just feeds an entire market. And it's just what you don't realize, or maybe you do. If you're on here, you probably do. But I don't think everyone does, or else... or else it wouldn't look as grumpy as it looks out there, is what I would say. But it's again and again, I'm just going to keep going back to this idea. It is the well-decorated doghouse. And it doesn't matter if it's I have decided, I made a bold decision that people who, my dear Facebook friends, if they're posting panic politics every day, if you have a certain something and you're panicked, whatever, that's great. But like, if every day you just feel like you need to keep me informed about your panic, I just put you on, just keep this person hidden for a little bit because they're having a sort of breakdown, right? And I think a lot of nervous systems are stretched beyond what they've ever known at this point in time. So again and again, I'm talking about how to think, and which is funny, because so much of spirituality is how to not think. It's, whoa, man, go to the place of stillness. By the way, if you are one of my Instagram friends, you do not have to tell me about stillness. Thank you very much. And on this one, I will say it's been all men. I do want to say there's something so profoundly mixed about, maybe, I don't know if it's millennials, or I don't know which generation it is, but I know it's not my generation, the Xers or something, because we were just badasses, but we also, we were, I don't know, we have a certain amount of knowing our place on the planet. But wow, the amount of these 20-year-olds teaching me about mindfulness, they just learned the precepts, and they're like, it's like, no, be really careful. I would approach all things with curiosity. That's how I would approach them. But it's funny. So what I'm saying is, the dark side of that is entitlement and know-it-allness. But the beautiful side of that is confidence. And so I would love to see how we take this generation and just transform that know-it-allness into a certain kind of, the confidence that they do have, doesn't have wisdom or critical thinking behind it, is the issue. But I think that's what happens when you really get wisdom and when you really get critical thinking. You can have a basic confidence, but you have a shitload of humility, because you're just always wrong. I'm just always wrong. I'm always wrong. Because the nature is impermanent. So you swing over here because, we were way too far over here. You swing over here, and then you start noticing, whoa, these people who are over here are correcting a little bit too much. We need to go back over here, because that's how life moves. I just saw this great talk, and he said, we have these immutable laws in terms of science. He was a physicist. We have this idea that there are these immutable laws, but if everything's evolving, why wouldn't the laws evolve too? Isn't that great? That's when you hit what in Tibetan Buddhism is called Dharmakaya. You're the waves, That's Nirmanakaya, and then you're the water, and then you're all of it, and that's Dharmakaya. And Dharmakaya is like where there's no karma, there's nothing. You're behind a curtain of all curtains. And I think I've talked about my, I've had a few of my little experiences, but there was the experience. I don't know that. Yeah, I always have most. So one of my great experiences that I'm very fond of was just this moment of like dissolving into just dissolving. And then the next thing I knew, I emerged. But when I emerged, my mind was like, I don't know if you've ever put aluminum foil in a microwave and it pings about. So it would ping, and I was a farmer in China, and then it would ping, and I was a goat, and then it would ping, and we had just come from the zoo in Spain. I was the gorilla that I had just seen, and I would ping, and I was myself. And this mind asked the question, like, what should I be practicing? And then the response was just this laughter. It was just this pure laughter that none of it matters. Like there is not even a better, like Tibetan Buddhism isn't even better than any of these things. It's just it's all karma it's all an expression of karma, and you're all of it. And the only thing to do is relax so that you can experience yourself as all of it. And when you experience yourself as all of it, all anxiety dissolves. And it was like, oh, that's much better than how I've seen it. But that happens on, I would say, when you leave the doghouse, right? The well-decorated or the poorly decorated or the empty doghouse, for that little trek over to the celestial mansion, then that's when these things begin to appear. And so one of the things, I do a few things. One is how to think, which I think is important. And it's an art. It's a true art to know how to think, how to hear something, and then how to take it in and respond to it from the depths of wisdom, as opposed to reactivity in any way. And so how does one do that? How does one hear? And I include hearing as thinking. So how does one hear from wisdom, and how does one respond with wisdom? And what are the mechanisms in between that you want to put in place to have it so that you can see and hear accurately and respond accurately? And it's an art, as I said, to actually employ these mechanisms so that at any given moment, you have the greatest option for intimacy. That to me would be sanity. Sanity is intimacy. It's the recognition of being one with, but without being enmeshed with. There's a tricky one for you. That is a tricky one. So I'll do a few questions. Maybe what I'll do is I'll just do a little bit of the writing. If anybody wants to talk about that, I'll read a little bit of it, and then I'll read the rest of it tomorrow, just so that we have a topic, and then I'll chat less, and then we can question more. So this is a semanticist view. So I'm going to keep going over the various mechanisms that you can install if you like, and these will tremendously, as far as I can tell, help the accuracy of perception and then communication, so that you're actually transceiving with reality. You're sending and receiving at the same time if you have these. And so, because as it is right now, our language is a broadcast language. So people are usually hearing in terms of, what am I going to say next? Or what is my response to that in my head? And they're speaking in such a way as to not receive. Does that make sense? And so we have a broadcast language rather than transceiving, which is sending and receiving concurrently so that all communications are real time. Now, here's the thing. And again, that is a power-based thinking to be able to transceive. But you know what we call those people? Crazy or flighty, or they don't know what they're talking about, because in real time, the incoming information is always changing. So you don't have a linear track that you're just driving through the conversation, irrespective of any of the information. Suzuki Roshi said, if you really want to know how to live this life, imagine living it in the dark and hope that you're always in the darkness. Because if you're in the darkness, you have to feel for reality rather than just assert your own will through it. And so this is a way of thinking and speaking that doesn't assert will. And here's what you'll find. You may or may not, but this is what I found. When you have these mechanisms in place, there's a much wider aperture of perception. That wider aperture of perception has it be that you can see what other people are doing. And you can really see how often communications are lobs of will at you, having nothing to do with you. And it's a very powerful but difficult thing to be able to see that, even as I said, the seeming virtue of be careful out there. So even the seeming virtue of many seemingly intimate communications have nothing to do with you. They are just a lob of preference being projected onto you that has nothing to do with you. So then you can know how to accurately respond. You know, we see these women on the internet and their hearts are constantly broken and they're just constantly duped. And it's like, honey, at what point? like when are you going to learn to read whether or not he's interested? I don't understand how it just keeps going and going and going. And a large part of it is that this aperture is missing of space to be able to allow people to be who they are so that you can see who they are. We are often communicating with such a pinpoint mind of projection of who we want them to be. It's will meets will that you don't have any idea. And so you're just at a loss as to how to move in real time with this other, energetic form. So I'll just read some of this. I'll do some questions, and if you have any. A semanticist view, we went backward when we made things unspeakable. We gave negative power to words that are, at best, vessels we fill with meaning. We presumed that there is a fixed reality and a fixed meaning. We became precious and fragile. And I want you to think about all of the words that you're not allowed to say. All of them. In my time, I'll talk about this later, and, faggot was one. And I am so proud to say that I was around the time when the word faggot got reclaimed by faggots. And they were like, that's right, I'm a faggot. And suddenly it drained the power from the word, because it had been owned, and then it had been injected, instead of with hate, with joy. Does that make sense? But so what I'm going to talk about is because we're at a time where a lot of words, both, as I've been talking about yesterday, or this week, are being used inaccurately, like fascist, or Hitler, which is just, that one makes me so mad, because Hitler was so genuinely horrific that you don't want to make comparisons, because you rob people of their experience when you do that. That's why I feel that way. So there's using words inaccurately, but then there's cordoning words off. And I'm going to talk about what happens when you do that. Think of some of the words that we're not allowed to use at this time. I'll give you one example. Pussy. You're like, grab her by the pussy, right? So that's one. We'll just juice adder, cunt. You know, you like if you're, you know, you're at Costco, you don't want to be like, hey, cunt. So just think of these various words. A bunch of lines and circles and dots become hurtful. This is not to say that that words do not have power, they do, but this is an abuse of the power that they have. Off-limiting words makes them sacred. That is how to make things hallow, no? We make temples to hold what's holy. We cordon off time and Shabbat. We denote certain advanced understandings as secret teachings. All of these are only for the initiated, and so they gather gravitas, they gather weight. So as soon as I say you can't say a word, I give it weight, I give it power. But to do this with slurs and hate language, to be so enamored with our capacity to police each other that we would give any word, any symbol, meaning unto itself. It's not wise. In fact, the opposite of wise. For those words and symbols that scare us when we hear or see them, you should do the exact opposite, or else they will grow domineering over time. For that, you should demonstrate that you are fearless, that no words can't hurt you. This is really important because what we're doing is we're weaponizing anything imaginable, and to begin to weaponize words, to have it be, you should be able to call me a fucking cunt, whore, bitch. And if I have power, I'll just be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know. I mean, but yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, probably. I mean, yeah, I'm in heat. You got that right. See, that's how, if you have power, you can play. But we are at such a decreased level of power that we've made it that words carry that much weight, that words are weapons. Does this make sense? And you do not, I don't know, maybe you do. I don't want it to be that there is a single word on the planet. I remember the first day I opened, so I don't read the media about me for the most part. I get little quotes that people think I should read, but otherwise it's just not a medium that I engage in, except for the most recent one, which was, but that's also because the woman who wrote it, Elizabeth Nolan, for reason, is a woman I would love to work with in my life. I mean, she's kindred. You just know. So anyway, my friends know that I don't read media about me, but not everyone knows this. And so somebody excitedly sent me an article that said, I can't remember what it was. I think it was like, all I remember is messianic cult leader. And then there was a picture of me. And I was like, I don't know who you're referring to in this picture. And then I read further, and they were referring to me. I was a messianic cult leader in the Daily Mail. Anyway, I can tell you this funny story, because so the woman who actually wrote that story was so sweet, so, and she ended up doing a wonderful story following that. And so I was telling the story of, they called me a messianic cult leader in Daily Mail, and I didn't realize she was the one who was the reporter for it. And she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She said, "The editors do that." I mean, she's just a wonderful human being, and I even understand why. Then all of a sudden I thought about it, and I was like, "Wow, the word messianic's a beautiful word." The reason that word hurts, messianic, cult, and leader, right? So messianic means, one who is in contact with belief of the Messiah. I am, I do believe, I happen to not believe that the Messiah is a person, but I do believe that the next Buddha will be a Sangha. That energy of salvation will be the world community. So yes, I'm messianic in that way. And then cult, well, yeah, as I often say, and Maya and Aubrey just did a kick-ass video on this. You know, when God was a woman, it was called fertility cults, lowercase, of course, and as opposed to religion, which was uppercase. That's male, and lowercase is cult. So yeah, I am a practitioner of feminine spirituality, cult. Okay, and then leader, you got that. Yeah, and so when you actually sit with it, it's like, yes, I am that. So why would any part of me recoil? Oh, because it's injected with hate. So but if you have the aperture, you have the space to say, I don't have any argument with what they're saying. I have an argument with the connotation. So, okay. So then I just went around telling people I was a Messianic cult leader. And then my attorney said, we appreciate you, Nicole. We love your humor. Let's not do that anymore. But yeah, there's a way, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this. I'll do more tomorrow, but there's a way to learn to just play with it. You know, you have to play with whatever is being lobbed at you. The therapist that I referred to, I'll start with her video tomorrow, who's just so very good. I mean, just like a breath of fresh air good, talks about all of these ideas that we have about you know, taking me time and self-healing and setting boundaries and all of these things. They're disabling us, and that they're rooted in this idea that life isn't or isn't supposed to be difficult. See, that's the, you know, sort of malady of our time, is the illusion that life isn't supposed to be difficult, and that if it is difficult, that's bad. No, that's wonderful. Everything that I'm proud of was extraordinarily difficult, you know. And I've even had people, let me just say, from a very specific church in Los Angeles, tell me that I'm not doing it right, and that I should be praying for ease, and that whatever, my spirituality is somehow broken because it's not easeful. And it's like, no, you know, I believe that Lama Glenn is an enlightened human being who goes up Mount Everest and experiences it as difficult. It's not, you aren't, those things don't, difficulty doesn't disappear, your relationship to it disappears. Or shifts, profoundly shifts into saying, this is difficult joy. But you want that. You want to be worked out. Or I do anyway. I want to be worked out often. I want my mind, my body, my spirit, my heart, my sexuality, all of it. I want it worked out and grown and expanded. And that feeling after a really intense stretch. And then suddenly you get to sit with the reward. We are not out here in Shiva. We are the mountain of stillness land. We are in the dynamic experience. And so, I don't know, for me, I enjoy all of it. And I'll tell you that the fact that I do is why I'm alive today. I wouldn't be, because if I hadn't coded difficulty and extreme difficulty as meaningful, incredibly meaningful, I can't imagine what I would have done to be able to withstand the amount of pain that there was and can be at various times. I mean, I was just talking to somebody about it this morning. It was a pain beyond human experience. It was like, if you've ever done psychedelics, and there's an existential pain that you can tap into, that just you just fall to the ground in this pain. It was like that for 2 years after I got canceled. It was just an unimaginable pain, just always there. But I was clear. Okay, this is in my mind, and this is how I coded it. This may not be right, but I'll tell you, if you ever need to borrow my code, borrow this one. If you're ever in pain, just say, this is my bodhisattva training. This is my training. I'm actually this is strength training. I'm getting a lot of strength right now. And the only thing that I have to do in order to collect my strength at the end of this is be with it. I just have to be with it. And I know, it's difficult to stay inside of it. If I can just stay inside of it and stay here, then at the end of this, I'll get to collect strength. And the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, by the way, don't work on the same incentive system that I do. So I'm not speaking for them, but I'm saying you may get a promotion. You may get a promotion at the end of it. And then you will go, we'll just say from the janitor in the bathroom to the janitor in the hallway. So, okay, so let me see. Alana, what tools do you use to break through the normal states and feel comfortable? I just wrote a book on this, The Red Thread, because what I looked at is non-normative states, psychedelics, meditation, and Om. Om is in the category of meditation, but sexual energy meditation. And so I looked at what were because I'm very good at non-normative states. I'm much better at non-normative states than I am at normative states. But I do very well there. Like if I'm with a shaman and I'm, they'll say like, oh, you shouldn't be able to talk here. It's just, I'm happy there. I'm normal. I'm back home. Finally. Thank you, Lord Jesus. So, but there is a set of principles that I operate according to, for Om, for Om, sex, psychedelics, and meditation. And, that work well for me. And, the first is, I just have a little mantra: whenever anything's tight ever, just let go, 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 let go. I just let go. I'll do it out loud. I'll do it, and you need to know that I, in my lifetime, have done psychedelics with a shaman and friends around, and they just heard that coming from the room. Let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. Because there are some pains that are just so excruciating, and they're just a habituated clenching. That's all they are. But you just need to remind them. You just need to remind them, let go, let go. Let go, let go, let go, let go. It's always you holding. So there's this pain, and you can't wait for it to release. And it's like this. It's this pain. You can't wait for it to release. And now you just have to go like this, but you have to remember to do this. And so that's usually my first one. And then often the experience after letting go is the experience of coming out of a compression pose. So then there's like a flood of endorphins and goodness. And so then thank you, 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 thank you. And then I'm fortunate that I have a very good compass, and I can find myself wherever I am. But there's always a good reminder that when you find yourself, everything normalizes around you. It's so hard to remember sometimes when you're looking around and everything's batshit crazy. That's batshit crazy because that's the movie projector in your mind making everything batshit crazy out here. And so you want to rush out here to fix it. You want to do something. You want to move. You want to go to the land. You want to, there's all these things you want to do, and it's like, no. All of those are just going to be a distraction for you to come back and just remember who you are. And then you'll find this really humbling, and it's humbling every single time, every time. There's never a time that it's not humbling. You'll find that everything and everyone's fine. That it was you who was going crazy. always. It's never out there. It's just here. And then all it is just forgetting your home base. So it's just come back home, come back home, come back home. And then another one is you have to have both. And what I mean by that is, let me see if I can, I'll just tell you the story. So I was with a shaman, and I was, I was, inappropriate with my shaman. You never, all these protocols and rules, and you're never supposed to like whatever, but you just need to know that there I was with my shaman, and all of a sudden my shaman was the eternal love of my life. And so you're also supposed to just do like this, which this was not going to be doing. And so I just informed him, you are the love of my life. There you are. I can't believe it. And then, he was very inappropriate too, because apparently he had the same experience. And so you're the love of my life. And we had this really amazing love of our life experiences. And then, I can't believe I'm telling this story, but whatever. So we're having this profound, I mean, it is a celestial love affair. We are just going through dimensions, and we lose each other for a second. And like at one point he's a frog, all of these things, right? We're just, these things are happening. But then we find each other. And then there's this one really cool part where I forget who I am, and he's running around like a lunatic. And then I remember who I am. And then he comes over, and he's very handsome and manly and very Spanish. And so we're on the journey, and then we're getting in it. We're getting deep. And all of a sudden, he falls, and he's nibbling at my neck. And then all of a sudden I realize, oh my God, he's devouring me. Like I'm pure energy at this time, and he's just sucking my energy. And I don't have enough energy to stop this whole thing. I'm just gonna dissolve here. Oh my God, this is the experience of every woman since the beginning of time who allowed some kind of siphoning and couldn't stop it. Oh my God. And then I just heard, I had a picture of my spiritual friend. I had brought it with me, and I just heard, reach over and touch that, which sounds crazy because you're in the middle of being devoured, and I barely had enough energy. And I just reached over and touched it. And when I did, this electric jolt came through my arm, and I was able to just sit bolt upright. And I was there. And then he was kind of shocked. And then all of a sudden I saw this total chagrin. I just saw the shame in him. And I had enough power to see there was no anger in me at all. And so I could see him, and I realized, oh my God, we live in an Eros deficit world, and he's been starving for lifetimes because this world hasn't allowed Eros to flow. And Eros is in my body, so I don't have a problem with it. Women don't have a problem with it. That's why we don't understand why men are starving. We produce it. Hello. So I look at him, and oh my God, he's just starving. I just see this, like, he looked really gaunt. He looked really not attractive at all. I didn't know what to do. And so he gets up, and he starts, why am I telling you this story? He gets up, and he just starts doing things for me. And from this place of shame, the only thing that he knew to do was to try to help me. And he starts, rattling the whatever that drum thing is, and the bells and everything. And I'm like, what? Don't do that. Sit down. And so he sits down, and tears are just streaming that he's hurt me, and he cares about me, and he can't believe that this has happened. And I just take my hand and poof, and I just inject as much as I can. And, mind you, we're in shaman land, and his gaunt sort of death face just hydrates. And all of a sudden, he becomes this most beautiful man in the world. And I realize, oh, okay, that's what you have to remember as a woman. Do not ever let go of your own power source, whatever you plug into for power, you can't. That's when you have the experience of being siphoned so badly that you run out of energy, and then he can't stop either, and he just, and until you both just kind of in your own ways died. Now this could be like a death in your marriage. This could be whatever it is when we run out, when we're drained, when we're tired, or that place where you started a relationship and you have so much energy and then somehow invisibly you're drained and dead and you don't know what's happening. That's what's happening. And it's a place where, from the idea of love, you unplug from whatever it is that feeds you, and you want to put all of your attention over here, and you're supposed to actually be keeping it over here in equal parts. Because here's the thing, this was keeping this body happy, joyous, satisfied, open enough to allow this to flow into me. And so I came to the conclusion, you always need both. You always need both. But, and this is the hardest part, because after that, it's funny, not long after that, I had a communication with the person who was in that picture, and they said, come on this trip. And so I had to be ready that minute to say, okay, I'm going. You have to, you have to move according to the need of the times. And so, my little shaman, I had to go because that's what was being called for. And so to be able to move in that way, that's, it's one of those laws. Sometimes you're called up. That's why we train in Om. That's why we train in upstrokes and downstrokes, and to have equal, balanced, simultaneous attention with all of them, so that whatever comes responds. All of a sudden, you are stroking the most beautiful spot in the world in Spain with a gorgeous shaman who sometimes turns into a frog, and that spot, all of the energy drains out. It's gone, and then this one over here is what turns on. And at first, you also have to remember this. This will be my last little lesson, I guess. You have to remember that all practice is for the phase transition. All practice is for the phase transition. Well, what does that mean? That sounds good. It sounds important, but I don't know what it means. Well, what it means is you're here, and this is where you want to be because this is what you've known. But the energy is draining or diminishing, right? And so, but this, when it first started, it was the light. It was everything. It was so good, and the mind just wants to keep going back to that place where it was so good. But this spot is turning on, and it is bright and clear and ready to go. And you're just coming down a little bit. The energy is just going down here, but you want to be living in a perpetual state of stable light, right? You just want it to be that it's just steady and stable, irrespective of what's going by on the set of life, right? It doesn't matter what city you're in, doesn't matter who you're with, you just want this stable light. Well, in order to have that, what you have to be able to do is move according to where the light moves on the clitoris, we'll say, on the big clitoris. So you're here, and then you have to say, wait, oh, actually this spot over here has more sensation, it's more light, it's on. Oh, okay, let me see. But that transition, nobody ever wants to make it, is the first thing I'm going to say. Even I'm 30 years in my practice now, I think. I don't know, I'm 30, 25, 20, I don't know, something. I'm bad with numbers, but a lot of years. And for me now, the gap is just minuscule, but it's always there. That's the nature of impermanence. That's the nature of reality, right? So there's always going to be a little bit like, it was so beautiful. And you go here and you're like, I don't know if I like this as well as I like the last thing, but you need it. You need it for the nutrient. You need it. And so but then you just say, okay, I'll just take a sip, just one sip. And I'm not so sure. And then you're like, that's actually very good, and I'm enjoying it. And you're like, oh, I love this. I love this very much. I will never leave this. This will be where I will be until the end of time. And then you light up there, and then the exact same thing happens. And it's just an endless series of those, so that you can remain constantly full, constantly lit up with all of the nutrients that you could ever need for the rest of your life, with this changing panorama of sensation. And you never have to miss out on anything. I just, I had somebody mansplaining spirituality to me earlier. And, well, no, I think he was afraid. He was afraid that I was being irresponsible. That is, for the most part, everyone's fear on my various social medias. And because there's unconscious incompetence that looks a lot like unconscious competence. So unconscious incompetence, and there's conscious incompetence, and there's conscious competence, and then there's unconscious competence. And these two can look very similar, but there are so few people, I think, who operate in unconscious competence that anybody who has any fun, you just kind of assume they're an idiot and that they're at unconscious incompetence, and you have to teach them how to be more competent at spirituality. And so then I have been taught the Four Noble Truths more times than you can imagine. And then the precepts and all of the ways that my thinking could potentially violate the precepts, except for they don't know the precepts from the Dalai Lama, which basically says, there's going to come a point where it is a violation of the precepts to not violate the precepts. And, but they don't usually make it that far, do they? No. They're just telling me that I should not be sexual because there's a precept around sexuality. And so, yeah, I don't even know why I'm telling you that, other than I had a very strong feeling about this, and I do know the precepts, and I've adhered to them, and I wore my little corset for many lifetimes, many lifetimes, and that corset was tight. And I mean, look, I am 6 houses in Virgo. I did the precepts better than anybody did the precepts. And now I break them better than anybody. So there you go. That's what I have to say on that topic. So that's how you navigate non-ordinary states. And then, but I will say this, and that is appreciation really is, and not dramatic appreciation, just appreciation, just everyday garden variety appreciation. Is it's the universal skeleton key. Like if you don't have anything, if you're just running low, just break out some appreciation, and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will arrive. They show up for that. And they show up for that. I've discovered, by the way, they should tell you this in Christianity, they show up for that before they'll show up for prayers of pleading prayers on your knees. I've done some of those for years at a time, and they didn't show up. But then I do a little appreciation, like, oh, wow. Today I do horse breath. I do a half hour of this horse breath thing. You inhale deeply, you hold it as long as you can in your heart, and then you breathe it out, and white light comes out. And, I just had a good one. Now I do it for half an hour. So I don't know how many are there in that time, probably 25, 24, something like that breaths. And I had a really good one. And so I just said, thank you. That's the bomb. That's what we do this for. Thank you. And you know what? Right after that, I had another good one. And that's how it is. And that's how you build the entire thing, just whatever is there. Sometimes I have these new flannel sheets, got them at Target. No, I got them on Amazon. And by the way, they don't make flannel sheets except for very small children for the most part, because adults like things like linen, but I like flannel. And so I have these new flannel sheets, and I got a new flannel duvet, and it feels like, I just feel like a bird in her nest, just happy as can be. I probably say thank you 10 times a night for those sheets. I love them. And so that's it. Like the tricks aren't that advanced. I think people really want me to have more advanced tricks, but it's things that you just notice. Oh, okay, it's time to let go. Oh, this is here now. Thank you. Oh, I'm losing energy over here. I need to plug in over here. Okay, they're just moment by moment. Oh, I seem to have forgotten who I am. as all of it, as all of it. I better come back to remembering that, because as soon as I remember that, everything else will remember it, because we're remembering this together, because we're all one karma, right? Oh, okay, that's how it works. And just like that, they're just those little moments, or, this hurts so badly. Wow, I am really getting strong on my bodhisattva path. Oh, wow, pretty soon I'm going to be at the top of my bodhisattva chain. No, don't do that one. Pride and shame, they'll bring you down really, really fast. Although, I feel like a good amount, I think in Western spirituality, we've been trained to feign humility that's actually shame. And that we use that as a hiding place. I have a friend, and she wrote this whole thing about shame, and I was like, yeah, it's a very convenient hiding place, because it's so reinforced in this culture. Oh, poor dear. It's like, no, bitch, you're hiding. Like they're all hiding places. They're all anything that it has you not be the full expanse of completeness and totality is a hiding place. And you don't want to hide. Why? Because pain festers in the darkness. Not, it's nothing noble. It's just, although I think maybe that's the most noble thing that could happen, is to say, I want to get out of suffering, the causes of suffering, and help other people get out of suffering. And I'm willing to not hide out in order to do that. I remember I was at a meeting once and I heard somebody say, they had been sober for a period of time, and they said, I was about 15 years sober when I realized that the key word for all of it is participation. See, isn't that such a simple thing? But it's just participate. You're lost, just participate. Participate in some way with anything, I have this, this little, I don't know if he's little, he's not little. These llamas find me on Facebook, I guess, because I'm friends with llamas, and they send me their artwork. And so, I participate in their virtual community of artwork. Anything. It doesn't have to be something, glamorous or big, but anything that can get you out of, and people say out of yourself, I would say out of your non-self, out of the festering that is pretending to be you. That isn't. It just isn't. It just isn't. You are. Although I did have somebody correct me on this on my Facebook, because I said, fundamentally we're all joy, and he said, we aren't joy, we're happiness. I said, well, you can be happiness, I'm going to be joy. But that's what's at the foundation. I promise you. I promise you that my experience is this, and that is that if you relax enough, you just relax. Just relax. You don't have to do anything more. Just relax, but not like, I don't know about you, but if somebody says relax, then I can't relax. So really relax. Like, just like, what's the worst going to happen? That I'm going to die? Well, at least if I die, I'm out of this pain. Sorry, but that is just my black humor. So just relax. You just relax. You relax enough, long enough, you start sinking. You sink. Oh, you sink past all of your heartbreak, and your mom was mean to you, your dad was mean to you. Ooh, your brother was more popular. Ooh, that guy in college didn't like you. Ooh, that chick broke up with you, whatever. That person betrayed you. You sink down. Okay, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, this looks pretty cool. And then you sink down some more, and then you're like, whoa, this is, wow, what's that? Oh, that's bliss joy. Wait, there's a whole fundamental layer of bliss joy underneath all of these layers. Yeah, that's just bliss joy. Whoa. And you can let yourself go even a little bit more. And you hit like, whoa, electric body. You just hit like, oh, just this kind of luminescence, like, the luminescence that's, I know, that's in the, you see it in the water sometimes. Huh? Bioluminescence. It's just like you just hit this layer that's just bioluminescence, just luminescence. That's all it is. And then, and then there's like the home beyond any home you've ever known. And all that's just from relaxing. That's all you have to do. So anyway, that's it for now.
Beautiful, wild, beautiful wild ride today. We'll go do some reflections and we'll start with Sasha.
Hi. Thank you so much. I wanted to reflect about the moment when you were telling the story with the shaman, because I think for women who live in the marketplace, they get so fixated on the fear of returning to their own power. And I think that's happened for me so many times where I was like, oh, I know that the next move is to return to my own power, go back to the power source and plug into it. And that for me, I get fixated on what's going to happen to me when I plug into it again, right? And that terror gets so focused on plugging back into the power, and we forget that what you told in the culmination of the story is when you return to the power and you fill up and feel that that source is coming from within, and then what you have to offer in his state of hunger and need is so different and coming from true power, right? And I think that we forget what's available there is so much greater than the sensation of, oh, I'm stuck and it's gonna melt me when I plug back into the power, and then we return to that. And what we get on the other side of it is so much more beautiful than what we could imagine. And I loved feeling you tell that story and recognizing in my own body what that feels like. It was so alive when you were talking about the electricity. I was like, oh, I know that feeling.
Same as she ever was. That is my girl right there. Beautiful. I just want to say, I was just talking about you. I lost her. I was just talking about you to somebody because this was like a week ago. Dana Lawrence posted one of your old, it's like love letters from your orgasm. Those were genius. And I was saying, oh my God, I miss her. And that, like, there's a way sometimes you can say, was it really that good? It really was. And then the first time I see you again in a long time, you come in and you're really that good. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Shannon.
Hi. This was so rich and so delightful. I had so much fun today.
Okay.
Something you said very early on in today's talk is just stuck with me. You said something about being one with rather than being enmeshed with.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the message is for me, but it got in my being and it's percolating, and I know it's going to offer me something. So thank you for that invitation.
That is a brilliant catch, because I put it out there as a koan. Yeah, even Emmett's here, and he looked at me like, "What?" and I put it out there because it is something that that I wrestle with. Is the difference between oneness and enmeshment. So, great catch.
Yes, when you brought that up and said it was a tricky spot or something like that, I was like, oh yeah, that is. I think that's something that I avoid, but now I have the invitation to explore it, and I'm grateful for that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. And then we'll wrap up with Kaylee from Instagram, who said, the shaman story really touched me. I can feel how it reshaped some deeper things into a more clear aligning. A knowing opened for me around this starving in the masculine. Also, let's take a moment for this updo with the black top today. Always beautiful, but today's vision is especially striking. And that is all for today. We'll see you again tomorrow.
We'll see you tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow I'll actually answer a question. If you have any, send them, I'll answer them. I really will. Okay, bye.